On the day that also marked my 18th wedding anniversary, my husband came home with his mistress and their child. "It's been 18 years with you. That should be enough. I want a divorce and to live with this child," he said. He also mentioned he would take good care of his mistress and their child from now on. I was shocked by this sudden event and couldn't organize my thoughts. Despite the clear evidence of his infidelity, I couldn't forgive his unrepentant and regret-free attitude. The woman fantasized about living in our house as if it were already hers, saying, "Once I move in, I'll buy the sofa recommended by that famous actress." While such trivial conversations were ongoing, my daughter interrupted. "What are you talking about?" she said, stopping my husband and his mistress's conversation with a single sentence. Then, what my daughter continued to say changed the situation. "My name is Diane Johnson, and I am a 40-year-old housewife. My husband, Robert, is successful as an education critic and earns an annual salary of $200,000. He is also a dedicated father, actively involved in child rearing and maintaining good neighborhood relations. I often receive envious comments when shopping at the supermarket. This morning, a neighbor thanked me for helping clean up a sign blown away by the wind. They really appreciated it." "Really? Was someone watching?" "Helping out in our area is just the natural thing to do. Robert was always contributing to the community and seemed like a perfect person everywhere you looked. Being married to him, I felt happiness every day." Our daughter, Michelle, also inherited Robert's good genes. Robert teaches Michelle daily, and she maintains top grades at a high school. She dreams of becoming a lawyer and regularly reads the news and newspapers. "Wonder what would happen if this case went to trial," she said, while pulling out a law book to look up the laws. "It's really amazing to study so much every day, and if it were me, I'd put it off right away. It's tough, but I learn a lot. I'll teach you what I understand later." Robert and Michelle were very intelligent, and I felt a bit anxious being just a normal housewife. I feel inferior, as if I don't have any special skills. Maybe I should try learning something new. That's not true at all. I think you're amazing. And so, we continued our casual daily life until Robert brought up a certain topic. "By the way, Mom's 40th birthday is coming up soon. Maybe I should pick something special this year, like choosing the cake myself. Then, I'll prepare dinner." Robert and Michelle were planning a celebration for my birthday. "Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone's kindness." As my birthday approached, I was filled with anticipation, and then Robert switched the topic. "Speaking of Mom's 40th birthday, it's actually also our 18th wedding anniversary." "Wow, 18 years? That's amazing. We got married on my birthday, so every year the day is both my birthday and our wedding anniversary." Robert always emphasized my birthday, but also remembered our anniversary well. "You remembered, thank you," I said, moved to tears from the morning. "Look forward to the day." I'm not good with surprises, but I'll try to do something special for you and Michelle. Hearing this, I eagerly awaited my birthday. A few days after my birthday, Robert and Michelle spent the morning choosing a cake and preparing dinner. "You can take it easy today since it's your birthday," they told me, allowing me to take a break from housework and enjoy shopping. When I got home, Michelle had prepared a lavish dinner. Haha. I did buy some side dishes, but I made the potato salad myself. More than anything, I appreciate your thoughtfulness. Thanks for all your work this morning. By the way, where's Dad? I thought Robert was helping out, but he was nowhere to be seen. Oh, Dad went out to buy a cake right after you left. There are many cake shops in our neighborhood. Still, it was worrying that he had been out since early morning and hadn't returned by night. When we called him, he said he would be back soon. The background noise sounded like he was in a car. Maybe Dad went to a faraway store to buy a special cake you saw on TV and wanted to try. Yeah, maybe he went to buy that delicious-looking cake you mentioned. We eagerly awaited the tasty cake and Robert's return. 30 minutes later, Robert came back holding a cake box. "Sorry I'm late. I bought your favorite cake, so let's put it in the fridge. Now, let's eat the dinner Michelle prepared." "Yay! I'm starving, let's eat." I smiled, listening to their conversation, and carried the cake to the kitchen. What I exclaimed in surprise, but my eyes were fixed on the cake box. Checking the seal, it was from a shop just a 10-minute walk from our home. I was a bit embarrassed, thinking he had driven far to buy a special cake, but he probably just picked up the cake along with some other errands. After dinner, as we were about to eat the cake, Robert cleared his throat and started to speak. "I have something to tell you. Can you wait a moment?" Michelle and I exchanged glances and whispered to each other about what might happen next. "Maybe there's a surprise for our silver wedding anniversary," I suggested, thinking it might be possible. Robert might have gone on a long trip to buy a present. Michelle, excitedly poking my arm, said, "I wonder what we'll get." Knowing Dad, it must be a beautiful branded bag. While we waited eagerly for Robert to return, Michelle and I let our expectations grow. Then, 10 minutes later, Robert came back. The moment the living room door opened, our expectations immediately changed. "What?" I exclaimed. Behind Robert stood a woman and a child I didn't recognize. A woman in her 20s wearing a miniskirt and a grade school child with brown curly hair stood there, clearly from a different background than our family, which unsettled me a bit. "Who are these people?" I asked, and Robert dropped a bombshell. "Actually, this child is mine." "What?" Michelle and I both exclaimed in shock. We hadn't imagined such a thing, and the impact was immense. As I was speechless, Robert continued, "It's been 18 years with you. That should be enough." "I want a divorce and to live with this child," he said. "Michelle has already graduated from high school and is an adult. You both are grown-ups, right?" While we were speechless, he added that he would now take care of his mistress and their child. Robert's voice was heavy. I still couldn't grasp the magnitude of the situation and alternated my gaze between Robert and the woman standing behind him. "But this child is still young, and we haven't spent much time together. We've always had to sneak around outside. That's why I want you and Michelle to leave this house for the sake of this child." Robert was asking us to leave the home we had lived in and loved for many years. We bought this house when we were newlyweds, filled with excitement, and it was packed with memories. He was saying we should hand it over to his mistress because he hadn't spent enough time with his mistress and love child, which was utterly unreasonable. Faced with this sudden turn of events, I needed a moment to stop and gather my thoughts. "Wait a minute. Are you really saying this child is yours?" I challenged, doubting the child who was different from Michelle. "Yes, it's true. This child's name is Nicole. Unlike Michelle, she's very active and cheerful. Right, Kelly?" "Yes. I heard from Robert that Michelle is quiet and intelligent." "I'm very happy that Nicole has a completely different personality," Kelly said with a smile, looking at us. I was infuriated by the exchange between Robert and Kelly. Thinking about how Robert had been caring for another woman behind my back while I looked after Michelle at home made me sick. "Mom, are you okay?" Michelle asked, rubbing my back worriedly. Normally, Robert would have noticed right away. but now he was completely ignoring me due to the presence of another woman. He was only looking at Kelly and Nicole. "This will be our new home. We'll give the sofa and TV to Diane and buy new ones," Robert declared. "Wow, great. I want the sofa that famous actress recommended," Kelly exclaimed happily. They were already planning ahead as if the house was theirs to give, even though no such agreement had been made. I had no intention of handing over our home to his mistress. "It seems like you're moving ahead with your plans, but this house is not yours to give. I want you to leave as soon as possible," I said loudly, and the room fell silent. Robert sighed deeply, looking at me coldly, and said, "Listen, this house is supported by my income. That means I have the authority over it. From today, this place will be our family's home, and I want you out, okay?" Robert's usually mild demeanor had turned into that of a complete stranger, cold and merciless. He laughed mockingly and added, "We are getting divorced today? Diane, you're 40, it's a good time. Don't worry, I'll make sure to pay child support until Michelle is fully grown." "I don't understand at all. Do you think she will take care of your parents? You know your father is in the hospital right now, right?" "Of course. What are you talking about? The divorce has been approved by my mother, too. No need to worry about money." Robert seemed to think that paying money would solve everything. Feeling belittled by him, I was filled with indignation. "What are you talking about?" Michelle asked calmly. "What's wrong? Are you sad about being separated from Dad? Don't worry, I won't forget about you, even if we're apart." "No, that's not it. Dad, you can't divorce Mom." Michelle's statement brought murmurs to the room. "Why would you say that? Are you jealous that we are going to be happy?" "Kelly, calm down." "Michelle, where did you get that idea?" Robert asked with a forced smile. Michelle's response then changed the situation. "Because it's defined that way by law." "What law?" "That's news to me. Are you trying to scare us?" Kelly questioned. I hadn't heard of that law either, but knowing how serious Michelle usually was, she wouldn't lie. Robert, understanding Michelle's character, was surprised by her words. "Actually, the law does not allow the person bringing the mistress to file for divorce, so it's impossible for Dad to propose divorce." To verify this fact, I immediately checked my phone, and sure enough, Michelle's statement was accurate. "Oh, it's really here. Written right here," I said, and Kelly vehemently objected. "Then you should propose the divorce. Give Robert to us." Even though Kelly pressed me, thinking about what Robert had been doing made me uncertain if we could really start over. Yet, I also felt that I couldn't just let Robert go, following Kelly's demands. When I was cornered by Kelly and couldn't say anything, Michelle stood up for me. "What do you really want to do, Dad?" "Yes, of course, I want to start a new life with Kelly and Nicole." "Michelle, you're an adult now, and you can live with Mom, right?" Robert replied. Michelle responded calmly to that. "Is that so? But would you still want to be with her if this child causes you to lose your job?" What Robert was taken aback. Nobody understood what Michelle meant. Then, pointing to the hiding Nicole, Michelle said, "This child goes to XX elementary school, right?" Why do you know that? Robert was surprised. "That school is on my way to school. That child always causes trouble in the nearby park, getting scolded by teachers and police. At my high school, students from that school are known to be uncontrollable. Dad, do you want to welcome such a child into our family and lose your credibility as an education critic?" Robert suddenly turned around and confronted Kelly and Nicole. "Is what Michelle's saying true?" "Nicole, have you really been doing that?" he shouted. Nicole trembled behind Kelly. Trying to gather accurate information, Robert pressed Kelly. "If the police and teachers have been involved, the parents must know. Kelly, tell me the truth." Under Robert's imposing demand, Kelly averted her eyes while sweating. Such things are normal for elementary students in any generation. It's not something to make a big fuss about. Though not an explicit affirmation, her words were effectively an agreement. Hearing Kelly's comment, Robert held his head in his hands. He might have been imagining what life would be like with Kelly and Nicole. As an education critic, his reputation would decline, and sooner or later he would face criticism. The confident Robert, who had been declaring his marriage, was no longer the same. He was confused and lamented his unstable future. Things have become the worst because of this child, he exploded in anger. Michelle continued, still having more to say. "Also, Mom, haven't we seen Kelly's face somewhere before?" What I replied, but neither Kelly nor I could remember seeing each other previously. Kelly certainly looked unsure. "Do you remember a month ago, after shopping near the station? On the way home, there was a woman in a red dress." "Oh, I remember now. I bumped into a woman in a red dress, and despite it being both our faults, she was very angry. I remember. The cake I bought then was ruined too. But why bring this up now?" With a small laugh, Michelle pointed at Kelly. "That woman? That was you, right, Kelly?" Kelly began to panic at the question. I don't remember something from so long ago. Besides, such a story doesn't matter now." "Don't change the subject." Kelly obviously couldn't hide her panic. It seemed like recalling something from the past was a bad situation for her. "I tried hard to remember that time, and then I shouted the crucial words that cornered Kelly. That's right. At that time, you were walking with a man who wasn't Robert." "Stop talking." Kelly hurried to silence me, but it was too late. Robert heard the conversation and glared at Kelly. "What? Were you cheating?" "No, it was just a coincidence. And what can you say you were cheating to? It's terrible. Why do I have to be treated like this?" Kelly couldn't hide her turmoil at her sudden exposure. Robert's anger intensified. "Kelly, you're in a different position. You depend on me for support, and you think you can cheat. How can you do such a thing when you have a child? And a month ago, we had already decided to marry, hadn't we?" Thus cornered, Robert and Kelly were more unsettled, and their situation became comically chaotic. As they continued their almost frantic arguing, Michelle and I could only watch, but finally, we couldn't take it anymore and intervened. "Enough, stop it. Robert, you're not in a position to talk about cheating." I ended their pointless fight. "Robert, the only reason you can work is that I support the home. Don't forget that. It's because of the support of the whole family that you can pompously call yourself an education critic," I said sarcastically. With a cold laugh at Robert, I turned back to Kelly. "I'm really sorry, Kelly, bringing up such a thing at this time. You only wanted to marry a rich man for your unrelated child, and now this situation. Really, I feel sorry for you," I mocked Kelly. Kelly and Robert were always unsettled and couldn't carry out their plans to the end. Enough. Everything is a mess, and it's the worst. Kelly realized her marriage to Robert was not going to happen and couldn't hide her irritation. "I can't stand it anymore. I can't imagine marrying you. Get out," Robert shouted. Like Kelly, his marriage became impossible, and his anger reached a peak. "I'll never step into this place again. Nicole, Let's go. Kelly tried to escape the scene after suddenly appearing and pressing me for a divorce. Her affair revealed and her position worsened. This day was my birthday and also our 18th wedding anniversary. But it was the worst turn of events. However, I wouldn't let it end so easily. As Kelly attempted to flee, I tapped her shoulder lightly and said, "Where do you think you're going? Since you had an affair with a married man, expect a claim for compensation." "What? No way. I don't have that kind of money." "Why don't you get it from Robert?" Kelly hurriedly argued back. "Of course I will also claim from Robert, but separately from you. It's unfortunate you couldn't marry." "I'm truly sorry for you," I said coldly. Kelly clenched her fists and trembled with rage. "Even if you think about running, I'll consult a lawyer and it will go to court." Michelle added fuel to the fire, and Kelly, with no other option, pleaded, "Please, anything but that." Today we reconfirmed the future payment arrangements with Kelly and sent her away from our house. Only our family of 3 remained in the house, and a heavy silence hung in the air. Robert sat trembling, his face downcast. With a deep sigh, I declared, "Michelle and I will return to our parents' home for a while. I want you to live on your own and learn how difficult it is. This will be a good opportunity for you to understand that not everything is because of you." Leaving those words behind, we immediately started packing. "Wait, I'm really sorry. I apologize for the affair. Please don't go back to your parents," Robert pleaded. "You're just worried about how it looks, aren't you? You're acting this way because our leaving affects your career," I replied coolly. Robert, hit by the truth, could say no more. "We won't come back until you truly reflect on your actions," I declared, and Michelle and I left the house. Returning to our parents, they were shocked by everything that had happened, but supported us nonetheless. Even if Robert seemed perfect, perhaps my parents had always sensed something off about him. As the month neared its end, it became necessary to return to our house to collect belongings we had left behind. The home we returned to was in complete disarray. Clothes were scattered everywhere. Piled up mail cluttered the entrance, and it was clear that he had been subsisting on ready-made meals. Seeing the state of the house and feeling nothing, I quickly grabbed only what was necessary and left. As I was locking the door, I ran into neighbors who, rather than expressing concern, seemed relieved that I had distanced myself from Robert. "I wonder why Robert changed so much," they said. Robert, who had boasted about doing anything for the community, had recently turned cold and distant. In fact, when a signpost had been blown down by the wind, it was I who had fixed it, not Robert. However, he had claimed it as his own achievement. The neighbors had seen this and knew it was I who took care of everything. Robert had continued to promote his efforts as his own, but recently he had stopped even that, and the neighbors quickly understood why I had left. "I'm sorry for causing concern. By the way, how is Robert doing lately?" I asked the neighbors. They told me that Robert had become a troublemaker in the neighborhood. He doesn't remember the trash collection days and often puts out his garbage haphazardly. Robert continues to dispose of his trash outside of designated collection times, and even after the trash has been collected, he carelessly leaves more garbage out. When he is cautioned, he always responds with a smile, "Really? I'm so sorry, I didn't know. I'll be careful next time." However, his apologetic demeanor is just for show, and he ends up leaving the garbage as it is and walks away. Due to this continuing behavior, the neighbors have completely lost patience with him. "I'm really sorry. My husband has been causing a lot of trouble for everyone." I apologized, and the neighbors sympathized. "You've had it tough living with that husband." While Robert thought he was good at community relations, The reality was quite different, and he was shunned by everyone. After a bit more small talk with the neighbors, I returned home. Back at my parents' home, I planned to share this story with Michelle and laugh about it together. Listening to the story, Michelle snorted and began talking about Robert, laughing at the absurdity of the situation. Sure, Dad praised me when I got good grades on tests, but he would boast saying, "It's not Michelle who's amazing, it's because she's my daughter, or it's because I taught her," Michelle explained, exposing Robert's self-centered behavior. I had a hard time holding back my laughter. Robert's self-centeredness was also isolating him professionally. His arrogant demeanor became well known, leading to a decrease in job offers. The reality of this was clear. Unable to cope, Robert had started inviting other women to live with him, ostensibly to help with housework. Although he sweet-talked them as if he intended to marry, they were really just convenient housekeepers. Eventually, one of these women couldn't stand the situation any longer and exposed Robert's chaotic personal life to the media. The scoop spread instantly, dealing a significant blow to him. He had tried to act cautiously to prevent his private life from leaking, but a small mistake led to disastrous results. His work rapidly declined, and former colleagues began to reveal his arrogant behavior. What started as unbelievable rumors eventually accumulated into overwhelming evidence, leaving Robert with no room for defense. As a result, he was completely ostracized from the industry, and his notoriety made it impossible to find new employment. While contemplating a future with Robert, I allowed myself a cynical laugh. I had thought about repairing our relationship if he truly reflected, but I knew it was a naive thought. Deciding on divorce, I sent the divorce papers to finalize the separation. Robert tried to contact me multiple times, but I ignored all his attempts, continuing my complete disregard. I imagined him regretting his infidelities upon seeing the divorce papers. He might still harbor childish hopes of reconciling with Kelly, but that would be inexcusable. I took the initiative to claim compensation and ensured I would never meet him again. Kelly would surely keep her promises. A few days ago, Michelle and I visited Kelly's parents and revealed all the facts. Her parents expressed deep regret, apologized to us, and submitted a written promise never to repeat the same mistakes. Kelly's parents had once let Robert visit, but they sent him away without letting him meet her. Kelly would now live under her parents' strict supervision, forbidden from contacting other men and leading a monotonous life with restricted freedom. She would regret this incident for the rest of her life. Both Robert and Kelly would have their own time for reflection. I vowed to Michelle that I would do my best to provide her with a much more fulfilling life than before. Sharing this sentiment, she said determinedly, "I'll become a lawyer and surpass Dad. We'll definitely live in a good home." Happy with her resolve, I responded, "Exactly. Let's work hard at that." Filled with hope for our future, I felt optimistic about the life ahead of us.